Okay, looks like we are streaming. So we are good to go. I think I saw Alex join there. There he is. Morning. All right, we have a quorum.
Are we live with sound?
Yeah, we are live and streaming, and we have a quorum, so we're ready to start whenever you're ready. If you'd like me to share the agenda, I can do that as well. Or we can look at each other. If you've got, you should all have the agenda in your emails. Either way. Hey, Alex, is my audio coming through? Okay.
Roger, I'm not getting any sound. Does everybody else have it?
I have it.
Yeah. It's hard to chair the meeting without sound, so his IT guy, hopefully. No. Yeah, everybody else can hear everybody, but Alex's audio wasn't working. Working any better now, Alex? Nope, he's looking for help, I think. Oh, Alex, thumbs up. Okay, good.
Sorry about that. We have a quorum, looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Good morning, everybody. I apologize for the little bit of a late start on technical problems on my end. So I hope you're all doing well. We do want to acknowledge we have a new board representative joining us this morning from Brigham City, Mr. Derek Euler.
How are you guys?
Good, Derek. How are you?
Good.
Good. Can you just want to do a very brief introduction of yourself and what your role is there at the city?
Yeah, I've actually been with Brigham City for about 11 years as a previous finance director, and you can all see Jason sitting there. I replaced him as a city administrator about 3 weeks ago. So,
well, very good. Well, congratulations. We're delighted to interact with you and have you on the board.
thank you.
So, and then we have Mr. Waite from joining us from Santa Clara, and then we have a Brock Jacobson. Brock, I don't recognize your name. Who are you with?
I'm with Santa Clara as well. I'm the city manager.
Oh, very good, Brock. Well, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. You bet. We're excited to have Santa Clara be part of the organization. So Again, good morning to everybody else. Let's just jump right into the agenda. The first item on the agenda is approval of a set of minutes or potential approval for the February 14th, 2022 meeting. I'll be happy to entertain any corrections or additions or deletions, and if not, to entertain a motion.
I move to approve the minutes of February 14th, 2022. This is Kyle with Midvale City.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Is there a second?
Second, Brant.
Okay, Brant, thank you. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, let's just do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay? Okay, thank you. Next item is consideration of a resolution thanking Lori Harvey for her services to UIA and also ratifying and confirming the appointment of Jason Roberts as the Secretary Treasurer for UIA. Roger?
Yeah, I don't know if I could say enough about how awesome Laurie has been for the organization. If you were just to look at things in the recent history, we've been doing more bond transactions and more things going on. Financially, we're busier and bigger than we've ever been. So it has not been easy years for her going into retirement, but she has been amazing, and we appreciate the time and wish, I'd hope she'd stay around longer, and she kind of did, actually. I think she had been planning to retire a little earlier, but she's been phenomenal. Obviously, we need to replace her, and that's impossible to do, but, Jason will come in and be our new CFO. You know him, obviously, from the board, but for this position, it was more, he had a strong finance background in public finance as well as some private finance work. Had been city manager of Brigham City, applied for the position as we opened it, and came out as a very strong candidate. We're excited to have him join the team as our CFO. Just one note on Laurie. I don't know if she's entirely aware. We're planning to have an event, like an open house, and we'll extend an invitation to all of you if you'd like to come and visit. Do we have a date for that? Not yet. We'll send information as that comes. So hopefully Laurie will come too. So anyways, with that, we have, the motion to confirm the appointment of Jason on here. And then I don't know if you guys want to have any comments, if anybody else has comments, or if Laurie, if you want to say anything, I'll certainly give you the opportunity to.
I would love to just tell everyone how much I've enjoyed my time at Utopia. I don't know if some of you remember that when I was with Midvale City as the finance director, I did the accounting for Utopia back in 2004 through about 2006. So kind of come full circle. I've, on my time with Midvale, Lee King and Kane Loader were huge supporters of Utopia, and I have so much respect for them and for all of the people on the boards and on the staff. It's great staff. Just so much respect for everyone who kept the dream alive, and I'm really proud to represent UIA and Utopia. So thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. We appreciate it very much, as Roger said, and I'm going to miss you. Board members, or do any of the rest of you want to make any comments? Okay. If not,
I'll go first, just really quickly.
Okay. Go ahead, Kyle.
I'm no longer the newest board member, but I do want to thank Lori for her service. And looking back at the financials of both UIA and Utopia, you can see the dramatic change that has occurred. And I know Lori is an instrumental part of that. And being a member of the Midvale team, I can tell you her legacy still lives on here. And a lot of times it's, what would Lori Harvey do, with a lot of things that come up with the city. So I definitely want to thank her for both her service to Utopia, UIA, and also to Midvale. She will definitely be missed.
Thank you, Kyle.
I just want to share. I do thank you, Lori, for taking the time to help educate me. Because again, fairly new board member. Thank you for taking those having those one-on-ones with me. Appreciate you so much. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, Alex, how much I appreciate Laurie's timely response to questions and concerns. She was always quick, even when she was out of the office, to accommodate our needs. And I think she's just a consummate professional, and we wish her well going forward.
Well said. Thank you, Jamie. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, this is Brad Patterson.
Yes, Brad.
As you know, we've served as bond counsel to Utopia and UIA for quite some time, and we've worked with a variety of different people. I ordinarily don't join these meetings when there's not a bond-related matter on the agenda. But when I saw the agenda today and how there was going to be a farewell to Lori, I couldn't resist the opportunity to jump in and just say how much, from my standpoint, I appreciate everything that she has done. She's been a joy to work with, and her conscientiousness in making sure the documents were proper is greatly appreciated from a bond counsel side. So, Lori, we're going to miss you. Jason, we're looking forward to working with you. But Lori, we appreciate everything you've done.
I do want to jump
Brad.
in and add that I know that Jason Roberts is going to do a great job. I've known Jason for a long time. We go way back. It's been fun to work with him the last couple of weeks, and looking forward to a few more weeks with him.
Thank you, Lori. Well, very good. You should get a recording of this, Lori. We can play it. Someone could play it at your funeral. It would be a fitting tribute. So you've done wonderful. So we thank you. And again, look forward, as was said, look forward to working with Jason. And we know him, and he's known quantity and very capable and competent. So I don't think we're going to miss a beat. Well, very good. With that, I'll be happy to entertain a motion for approval of this resolution to recognize Lori, and also to ratify and confirm Jason Roberts as UIA Secretary Treasurer.
Alex, I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Brenda. Let's do a roll call. Brenda?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Jamie?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Jason?
Yes.
Sant?
Yes.
Brent? Thank you, Jason. Brent?
Yes.
Mayor Lundberg?
Aye.
And Derek Euler.
I actually don't think I'm the voting UIA board member for Brigham City. I believe it's council member.
No, you
Oh,
are.
okay.
Derek.
I am Jason.
Mhm.
Okay, I vote aye.
Oh,
Thanks.
very good. Very good. Okay, well, thank you very much. Appears to be unanimous. So, and Brad, I apologize for not recognizing you this morning. Brad, for those, most of you know, but for Derek and the gentleman joining us from Santa Clara, Brad Patterson has been a long time, very reliable, dependable partner to UIA and to Utopia through the years. He's done an outstanding job and been a great advocate of the system and of its vision, and he's been our bond counsel. So Brad, it's always good to see you, and we thank you for your service to us, and hope you're well and your family.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that.
You bet. Let's go on to the next item, which is item 4. It's a resolution authorizing individuals' access to and management of accounts with the state public treasurer's investment fund. Roger?
Yeah, this one's pretty easy. We just need to designate Jason as the person authorized to administer the funds for the PTIF.
It looked like on the resolution that there were Jason and a couple of other gentlemen.
Yeah, that'd be other.
Aaron Shirley and Dallin Hackett.
Yeah, so there's others in our finance team.
Good. Are there any questions or concerns about this proposal from any members of the board?
Alex, I'll be happy to make that motion.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Is there a second?
Second, Kyle with Midvale.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. Let's do a roll call vote again. Brenda,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Jamie,
Aye.
Nicole,
Yes.
Jason Sant,
Yes.
Brand,
Yes.
Derek,
Aye.
and Mayor Lundberg.
Aye.
And Leighton is an aye as well. Okay, thank you. Appears to be unanimous again. Go to the next item, which is item 5, consideration of approval of a resolution approving repayment of UIA OpEx assessments and distribution of excess UIA revenues. So this is a good one. So Roger? Or
We like this topic.
Laurie?
Got Laurie on this.
All right, that's an upgrade. Thank you, Laurie.
Welcome. See, I'll share my screen. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. We originally proposed the FY22 repayment of OpEx and distribution of excess revenues with the adoption of the fiscal year 2022 budget. Due to this year's financial success, we've revised that proposal to cover pledge increases between 2017 and 2022 for all of the cities who paid their OpEx assessments in full, and then add the amount necessary to pay off the UIA note payable to cities that is still on the UIA books. The amounts of the 2022 distribution are at or above the original proposal for all cities. The total distribution is $1,728,139 and is allocated to the cities as shown. The interlocal cooperation agreement of UIA requires board approval of any distribution of excess revenues. And besides sharing this good news with everyone, that is the reason for the presentation of this resolution this morning. What I've shown on the right is the fiscal year 2022 Utopia pledge for each city, $15.3 million. The fiscal year 2017 Utopia pledge, which was 13.8 million. It's an increase of 1.4 million. And on the left, the UIA note payable balance to cities as of April 30th, 2022. The increase in the pledge payments from 2017 to 2022, which matches this table. And then any remaining UIA note payable balance. And you add those two together to get to the total distribution column for FY 2022.
So Laurie, I think you were clear on this. Did I understand you to say then that this payment as it's made will represent the final, the complete coverage of the UIA assessment payments?
That's correct.
By all the
It
cities?
repays those assessment payments in full. There was the goal when we presented this last year was to take that note payable and pay it off over 2021 and 2022. The amount to pay it off is about 1.6 million. We felt like there was additional revenue available at UIA, and just as last year with COVID, we wanted to make sure that all of the cities did receive some benefit. So instead of following that schedule from last year, we first made sure that the cities who paid their OpEx in full were getting enough to cover that increase in pledge payments, and then tacked on to that any amount that UIA still owed any city for the advance of OpEx assessments from 2014 and 2015. So that balance is now zero on the UIA books.
Very good. Thank you, Laurie.
Welcome.
Are there any questions or comments from any members of the board regarding what Laurie has presented?
When do we expect those payments to go out, Laurie?
We will get them out this week as soon as the board passes this resolution.
Mr. Chair, this is Nicole. I have a question. And I'm just gonna expose my lack of math ability here, maybe. So I'm looking at the West Valley lines. Looks like line 16 on my sheet on the far left. And I see the 283 and then the 404.
Right.
And the total distribution at 404. So am I to understand that? And then I'm like, if I look up at the Orem distribution, I see 393, but their total distribution is 393. So is it not column C plus column D equals column F?
I understand your question, Nicole. And with West Valley City, the UIA note payable balance as of April 30th was $283,281.
Got it.
With the distribution of the increase in the pledge amount of $404,000, that not only pays off West Valley's note payable balance, but would leave you with a credit. So there are some cities who do have a credit for UIA note payable, which in essence would, let's see.
I think it was really take the greater of if we owed money back, or if we're using the logic of the 2% annual pledge increase. We look at both of those and you get the greater. If that still didn't pay back everything, it was like, let's just make sure we get all those OPEC payments paid off. But
yes, that's correct. So UIA's note payable to West Valley was 283,281. With this increase in the pledge payment of 404, that in accounting speak takes care of your UIA note payable, of the UIA note payable balance to West Valley. And in fact, on UIA's books, West Valley would owe UIA 121,000. We haven't figured out how to properly handle that yet. Last year, we did have this situation with several cities, and we asked them for permission to apply that overpayment to the note payable in Utopia.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So where there were credit balances, I just took them out of the formula. Where the increase in the pledge payment wasn't enough to fully satisfy the UIA note payable balance, as in the case of Centerville. UIA owed Centerville 124,000. The increase in the pledge payment was 48,185, which we were paying Centerville, but that still left 76,000 on the books. We want to get that UIA note payable off of the books, and so the distribution to Centerville is column D plus column E, increase in pledge payment plus remaining UIA note payable balance, or 124,522.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Nicole, for that question. Any other questions? Well, just maybe a quick bit of reminiscing. I think this is a very significant thing, even though we're doing really well. But for those of us who were around at the time, the decision to charge ourselves or assess ourselves these payments in order to keep the organization alive several years ago, and it was literally that that was the issue, was whether we fold or whether we stay alive. It took tremendous, in my opinion at least, tremendous courage and stubbornness and fortitude and about any other adjective you can apply to it to keep it keep it going. And just want to say that if not for those who did that at that time and the support of everybody, frankly, in the organization, I don't think we'd probably not be sitting here talking today and seeing the rich success that we are. So it's really a significant thing to be in a position to have paid all those assessments back, which was the promise and the commitment of the organization when those assessments were made, is that every penny that was fronted by the cities would be paid. So it's nice to see that commitment has been kept. And again, as I can just attribute one of the many tributes, if people would know, if people did know of the hard decisions that were required in those many years when things were so difficult and the organization was being attacked and bullied and undermined at every hand, at the national level, at the federal level, national level, at the state level, frankly, in the legislature, and even by some within our own ranks. But anyway, those of you that were involved in that know who you are, and I think just thank you, and it's all proved itself worthy of the fight, right? Worthy of the sacrifice, and this network has become to me anyway, such a blessing to our communities and to the citizens that live in them. So anyway, probably said too much about that, but I think this is a signal moment here in the history of the organization. So thank you. Any other thoughts before we ask for a vote? Okay. Seeing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion then to approve Resolution 2203, which provides for the repayment of the UIA OPEX assessments and distribution of the excess UIA revenues.
I'll move for approval of that resolution. This is Nicole from West Valley.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Mayor Lundberg from Linden City.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Let's do a roll call vote again. Brenda?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Aye.
Jason Sant?
Yes.
Brant?
Yes.
Derek?
Aye.
And Mayor Lundberg?
Aye.
Okay, very good. And Layton's and I as well. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item 6, which is consideration of Resolution 2204, which adopts a tentative budget for fiscal year 2023, and also setting a time and a place for the public hearing regarding that budget. And the proposed date is June 13th of 2022. Lori?
Okay. Is this slide showing? No? Yes?
No?
Do you want me to share it?
Probably.
All right.
Sorry.
I've got a few documents from you for the Utopia budget for the packet. Is that what you want?
Yeah.
I've got a Word document and 2 PDFs. You know which one?
Do you want to just pull up the packet? And then I included the PowerPoint slides in there.
All right, is this,
Yep. Okay. So we are presenting to you today the fiscal year 2023 tentative budget for UIA. On the first slide, I know these are very small numbers. I'm attempted to show you fiscal year 2022 UIA budget to actual. Fiscal year 22 revenues exceeded estimated by 2.3 million. You can see that at the top of the revenue section, the number on the far right, estimated year-end 2022 over or under budget. We were 2.3 million above what was estimated for the budget in June of 2022. A significant portion of that increase was in commercial transport, where we brought in almost 1.6 million above budget. Success with UETN is a major factor in that. Monthly UETN billings are about $140,000 per month, up from $78,000 per month in March of 22. In the bottom section, under network expansion, we didn't budget for proceeds from debt issuance in the beginning of the year because it's our practice not to budget for that until the parameters resolution has been adopted and the bond has been sold and closed. The estimated year-end proceeds from debt issuance is 68 million. UIA issued a bond for Syracuse in September of 21. Bonds for Santa Clara and Cedar Hills were sold just last Friday. That's good news, and it may be new news for those joining us on the call from Santa Clara. And we plan to issue the Series 22 UIA general bonds within the next couple of weeks. Down in the lower section, construction of network expansion has kept pace with the 2022 levels. We will spend about $58 million, adding $58 million to our infrastructure in fiscal year 2022. This includes essentially the completion of the original Utopia and UIA footprints. So overall, revenues over expenses, we anticipated about 2.6 million in the budget, and we will end the year slightly better at about 3.2 million for fiscal year 2022. Moving on, based on what we just talked about, I am proposing amendments to the fiscal year 2022 UIA budget. We will be asking you to approve a resolution setting the time and date for a public hearing for June of 2022. The items that need to be amended would be increasing the proceeds from debt issuance by approximately 68.5 million for the 2022 bond issuances. Increasing the fiscal year 2022 distribution of excess revenue to cities. We budgeted 1.6. We're proposing a distribution of 1.7. So just $137,000 increase in revenues. And then increasing the fiscal year 2022 service contract revenue due to Utopia. As you know, UIA pays Utopia directly for items such as field maintenance on addresses passed, maintenance of existing connections, and provisioning of new connections. And with the success at UIA, the activity exceeded what we expected for 2022. And so the money going over to Utopia is slightly higher. So the last two, the 137,000 and the 300,000, we would increase revenue estimates by that much, and allocate or appropriate that to expenditures. Moving on to the 2023 budget. The proposed 2023 budget shows estimated revenues of 33.5 million. That's in the column third from the right, fiscal year 23 proposed budget, 33.5 million. This is an increase of 5.5 million over projected 2022 revenues. While we budgeted 25.7 for fiscal year 2022, we expect 28 million. Our proposed budget is 33 million. This is based on the average net new connections of 500 per month and the continuation of business sales growth, including UETN. And the graph that I've shown to the left illustrates the consistent growth in each category. You have 2021 actuals, estimated year-end 2022, and proposed 2023 budget. The first column is residential transport. Second is commercial transport. The third is fiber lease, and then miscellaneous revenues. On the next slide, looking at UIA operating expenses, proposed FY 2023 UIA operating expenses exceed 2022 budget by about 6.2 million. You can see we budgeted 22.1. Our estimated year-end expenses are 22.1. So whether you're looking at budget or projected, we are at about 6 million higher for fiscal year 2023. The next couple of slides will explain the increases in management fees. We are proposing a $600,000 increase in management fees paid to Utopia, and in service contract fees, where we are projecting an additional 1.3 million to be paid to Utopia. We have a $500,000 increase in capital. We do have some capital needs that are not related to, or may or may not be related to network expansion. We wanted to leave room for those. And then debt service increases from 12.3 million budgeted in 2022 to 1.3 in 2023. Sorry, it's increasing by 1.3 for 2023. Compensation to Utopia, the management fee of 3.3 million. This is in place to allocate Utopia administrative expenses that are not captured by the service contract between UIA and Utopia. As Utopia grows, the administrative functions of Utopia are increasingly allocable to UIA activity. And because most of the system revenue is earned at UIA, a reasonable portion of that revenue needs to be paid to Utopia to cover the costs of managing that increased growth. Analysis indicates that the appropriate amount for fiscal year 2023 is 3.3 million. That's an increase of 22% over fiscal year 2022. You can see that 2022 was an 18% over 2021. This management fee first came in to play in about 2018, and it was actually Utopia's auditors and UIA's auditors who suggested that Utopia couldn't and shouldn't be carrying the burden of all of the increased activity of UIA. So it does serve a purpose. It's fair, and it's also a very good way and appropriate and good way to move funds from UIA over to Utopia, where we hope that in coming years, Utopia will be able to start making some of those debt payments that the cities are making. Compensation to Utopia for the service contract. The service contract between Utopia and UIA intends to capture the costs directly associated with addresses passed, active subscriber connections, and new connections, which are managed by Utopia. The original service contract was adopted in 2010 10, and fees were not increased until 2019. We have adjusted those fees annually since then. Fee increases require an amendment to the original agreement, which will be proposed to both entities, along with the adoption of the final budget in June. The proposed increases from 2022 to 2023 are 10%. Network operations, Utopia charges, UIA, if you will, $7.87 per month for each active UIA connection. That's up from $7.15. $17.33 one time for each UIA connection, up from $15.75. $1.43 per month for each UIA address passed for field maintenance, 10% up from $1.30, and electronic shelter maintenance, about $37 per month for each hut and each UIA hut and cabinet maintained by Utopia. That's up from $33.33. The total anticipated to be paid to Utopia in 2023 is $5.8 million. That's 1.3 higher than fiscal year 2022. UIA network expansion. Again, we haven't budgeted for any additional bonds in 2023, and we will bring those into the budget as they are issued. We don't anticipate another UIA general bond. We've budgeted for $45 million of network expansion in 2023, leaving open the possibility of using UIA cash reserves for funding if necessary. Funds for completion of Syracuse and Pleasant Grove, along with first-year construction for Santa Clara and Cedar Hills, will be funded from bond proceeds that were issued in 2022, or in the case of Pleasant Grove, 2021, from construction funds currently held by the bond trustee. For fiscal year 2022, the distribution of excess revenues from UIA is slightly higher than what was presented with last year's budget. We have gone over that. We're covering the Utopia debt pledge increases since 2017, plus paying off the remaining UIA notes payable to cities. For 2023, UIA plans to distribute $4 million from excess revenues from UIA to Utopia cities. This distribution is allocated based on each city's percentage of the total pledge payment. So on the far right, you see the proposed 2023 distribution of $4 million. The FY 2023 Utopia pledge amount of $15.3 million. Each city's share of that pledge, the percentage of total pledge, and then that percentage multiplied by $4 million will result in the distribution to each city. I do want to mention that you don't see Payson on this list. Payson will be fine. Payson's pledge is paid off in 2027. They were not part of the agreement to increase the pledge payments by 2% each year. So this is UIA's proposal for fiscal year 2023 distributions. Again, this distribution will need to be approved by resolution of the UIA board prior to payment in the spring of 2023.
I'll just make a comment here or bring some attention to it. You know, in the past, we've kind of looked at this whole OpEx repayment type of thing, but also, you know, understanding the cities were seeing a 2% increase in their payments on the Utopia bonds. Now we're changing the logic a little bit and saying, now let's make the payments. Now that the OpEx is all taken care of, we don't need to think about that logic. We have more funds than available to keep up with a 2% annual increase, which would put a ceiling on the paying at the cities. This is the first year that we're actually dipping below that or past that to pay more than what the cities are facing from that 2% increase every year, which was the hope. I don't know that we I don't know how much confidence there was that we'd be in this sort of a position, but this is a pretty significant deal in the sense that not only are we maintaining, the increase of payments that the cities are making and being able to pay that out of revenues, but actually soften the burden to the cities over time. And obviously every year we want to continue to do that, and even more as funds are available. We can't make long-term commitments because we need to be able to have some flexibility in what we can do. But as we face every year's budget, obviously we're going to try to do the best we can. And this is a pretty aggressive goal and budget that we're proposing for next year to help the cities with those Utopia debt obligations.
Okay, on the final page is a summary. Basically, the increase in fund balance improved over estimated fiscal year 2022. We expected a net increase in fund balance of 2.6 million. We estimate 5.9. However, some of that is related to the unspendable appropriation for the reduction of fund balance deficit. We budgeted about 989. We budgeted 989,000 for fiscal year 2022. So if that was spendable, we would have estimated year-end a net increase in fund balance of about $5 million. The 2023 budget shows a similar increase in fund balance of 5,169,100. We are required to fund the fund balance deficit to reduce that. The fund balance deficit for UIA is $545,000. So we have appropriated to fund that deficit completely. And again, if you take we still are very close to what we estimated in fiscal year 2022, even with the full $4 million distribution to UIA. We expect to see a net increase in fund balance in UIA of $5 million. And that is all I have. I have attached to the packet the spreadsheets showing multiple columns of not only 2021 actuals, but 2022 projected, 2023 budget, and columns showing the variance from budget and the variance from year to date. So I know you haven't had a lot of time to pore over those. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them now, or if you have questions as you spend time reviewing them, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer those.
Lori, this is Carolyn Lundberg. I have a quick question regarding the the excess bond amount. You said you have budgeted 1.7 million going to Utopia. Is that debt service that excess budget amount is going to?
The 1.7 million is the amount of the distribution to Utopia cities. So that is the repayment of the note, UIA note payable, and it's the distribution for the difference in the pledge payments from 2011 to 2017.
I see. Okay. It is, if revenues continue to be as healthy as they are, and you finish the OPEX repayment, is there a long-term strategic goal to maybe even more aggressively pay down the Utopia debt as well and tackle that?
Roger, do you want that one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is, we're really excited about this budget. It's hard to get excited about budgets, right? But
no.
What we're proposing, no, not. What we're proposing is taking some of the benefit and progress we've made at Utopia and UIA to make a more aggressive payment to the cities to help those cities make the payments, the bond payments on the original Utopia bonds, that were refinanced in 2008. And if we continue to do well, which we have no reason not to think that we would, some people point to these city partnerships, and those are okay, but as you'll see, most of the really big upside has been in our commercial services. Utopia does provide services in over 50 cities across the state. And so there's been a big benefit in that side of the organization. We don't see any reason why that would slow down, and we're going to continue to focus on that and hope that we come back and say, hey, after 2023, we do have this $4 million distribution to the cities. We hope that that becomes $5 million or $6 million, and that continues to grow over time to eventually where Utopia's, through UIA and partnership and the way that we are able to make those distributions, pay more, and if not all of the Utopia bond payments. If we continue to do well past that, then it would become a situation where we pay off past made payments by the cities. We still carry those on our books with the goal to pay the cities back everything that they've paid on the Utopia debt. So that's a very lofty goal, and it's a long-term goal, but we're making fantastic progress towards that.
I like it. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, Lori and your team, good job on the budget. I'm sure I'll have a lot of questions, but I think I'll meet with my Utopia counterparts so we have a comprehensive list of questions instead of getting questions from two separate people. One thing I am excited about on my first glance, and yes, I do get excited about budgets, but that's just me.
I get it.
I am happy to see we're starting to put some money into capital for those repairs. That's one of my big things, is making sure we're keeping our capital assets maintained and up to date. So I'm happy to see that.
Thank you, Kyle. Are there, again, Lori, wonderful presentation, very thorough and professionally presented. Thank you. Board members, are there any questions of Lori or any comments you'd like to make with regard to that financial presentation? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion. We have two of them. We'll do number 6 and then do number 7. But the first resolution is Resolution 2204, which is the adoption of the tentative budget for fiscal year 2023, and then setting the time and place for the public hearing regarding that budget, which again, the date that's been identified as June 13th, 2022. So would someone like to make a motion to that effect?
Alex, I will make that motion. This is Jamie.
Okay, thank you again, Jamie. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second from Derek in Brigham City. Thank you, Derek. Let's do a roll call vote. Brenda?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Brand?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Jamie?
Yes.
Derek?
Aye.
Jason Sant?
Yes.
Mayor Lundberg?
Aye.
And Leighton is an aye. So I think I've got everybody. Thank you. And then related to what Lori had presented before regarding the proposed amendments to the current year budget, I'll entertain a motion to set the date and time for that public hearing to consider those amendments. Again, the proposed date is June 13th, 2022.
So moved.
Thank you, Derek. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Let's do a roll call. Mayor Lundberg?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Aye.
That's great. Thank you, Mayor. Jason Sant?
Yes.
Derek?
Aye.
Jamie?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Brant?
Yes.
Kyle?
Aye.
Brenda?
Aye.
And Leighton is an aye. Thank you very much. That takes us to item 8, excuse me, on the agenda, which is a financial update for UIA. Laurie?
Yes. This graph is the monthly recurring revenue combined for Utopia and UIA. Continues to grow. The UIA revenue is $2.4 million. Utopia revenue is $0.7 million for a combined revenue of $3.1 million. I'm on the next slide. Let's see. What are you seeing?
The recurring revenue increase?
Okay. And can you
chart?
see the 12-month moving average of recurring revenue increase?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It's still bumping up and down a little bit. I believe that we have, when a new area comes on board, we may have some people who are still prepaying. We don't do a great job of breaking that prepayment out from the $30 lease fee per month. I think that's one of the reasons it bumps around. Also, business revenue. Occasionally, some one-time payments will unfortunately get lumped in with recurring revenue, but it's consistently above $40,000 month over month. And then on the final graph, this shows UIA revenue versus bond obligations. Monthly recurring revenue for March was 2.4 million. You can see the benchmarks for each of the debt. We do have Cedar Hills and Santa Clara added on to the debt amount. We do not have the upcoming issuance of the $30 million, but as I've mentioned in prior months, that gap between revenue and debt service is the widest that it has ever been, which leads me into some other items that I want to talk about on the financial report. First of all, the 2021 audited financial statements were finally issued on March 11th, and I emailed the financial statements to the board. There were no changes from the financial details reported in the January board meeting. Regarding Santa Clara and Cedar Hills bonds, our underwriter, KeyBank, publicly placed the bonds for orders on March 24th. The markets were in turmoil, and after an unsuccessful order period, a collective decision was made to pull the bonds from the market and wait for things to settle down. Things didn't settle down. Investors wanted higher yields. During the 2 weeks since that time, KeyBank has been negotiating with known UIA bond investors to arrive at an acceptable price. KeyBank had orders for all maturities by last Friday, and the bond purchase agreement will be signed later today. For the first time in many years, the true interest cost that UIA will pay on the Santa Clara and Cedar Hills bonds is above 4%. Cedar Hills came in at 4.1% for the true interest cost, and Santa Clara came in at 4.3% for the true interest cost. Santa Clara's bond was rated A, Cedar Hills bond was rated A+, which, by the way, we disagree with, but for some reason, S&P didn't seem to understand the economy of the Santa Clara St. George area. The bonds will be amortized over 30 years at the maximum debt service allowed by the contracts with the cities. The contribution to construction funds for Cedar Hills project is about $500,000 less than anticipated, and about $600,000 less for the Santa Clara project. We are working with Brad Patterson and Laura Lewis, our bond counsel and our financial advisor, to possibly modify our contracts with partner cities going forward, allowing for longer amortization periods if necessary, and higher maximum debt service if necessary, which means higher required take rates. We may also want to put a contingent upon successful financing clause in those service agreements to protect UIA in case financing cannot be accomplished within the parameters resolution. So it's a different world than any of us are used to. Things are changing. Not only is there the unsettled market, but we are, as you know, looking at some supply chain issues and some pressure on price. So we're really glad that Santa Clara and Cedar Hills got into UIA when they did. We do have other cities in the queue that we believe we can still contract with and serve well. Switching gears a little bit to the Series 2022 UIA general bond issuance of $30 million. Fitch affirmed the BBB- rating with the outlook changed from stable to negative. We were aware that issuing bonds just a year after the Series 2021 could increase our leverage ratios, possibly to the point where Fitch said, no, that's high enough. We warned you. And we considered going in for a smaller amount and maybe a $5 or $10 million bond this year and every couple of years. We didn't know how Fitch would react even to a smaller amount. One of the items they had in their last ratings presentation was that the rating would be reviewed if UIA came back in for additional money. We did need about $5 or $10 million to finish the UIA Utopia projects. And we felt like with some of the opportunities on the horizon, the possibility of using and matching grants that are available from other cities or locations for those cities that have received or will be receiving federal funds, or possibly partnering and building a network in areas where the cities are too small to have bonding capacity, plus building opportunities and business opportunities that are coming our way. We felt like if we're going to go out for another issue, let's make sure that we request what we need. And we spent a lot of time with Fitch Ratings on this transaction, going over debt ratios. In the end, they kept the BBB- rating, changed the outlook from stable to negative based on the high debt leverage ratios, even though they acknowledge that in years 6, 7, and 8, which are just beyond the scenario that they look at in their criteria, that leverage gets much better and under control. With UIA, we have always a couple of years that are required to build out a network, and then at least 3 years before that network or footprint achieves maturity, where the take rates are 30% or higher. So they acknowledge that their criteria only allows them to look out 5 years. They have stated that they could change that outlook back to stable should UIA meet its revenue projections. And once that debt leverage drops below their benchmark of 9.0. We do have a meeting scheduled with the typical UIA bond investors for later this week. KeyBank and our financial advisor, Louis Young, will be on that call, as well as officers from UIA, to help them understand the importance of issuing bonds at this time, and to make sure they understand that those leverage ratios do decrease in future years. I attached the new issue summary from Fitch in your packet. And one thing I wanted to mention is Fitch views adding partner cities under a separate indenture as a positive, since these bonds come with a full backstop of pledging city revenue. So Roger will keep doing that just as often as he can. It's hard to keep up with Roger, but we do our best, and he'll talk to you about other cities that may be in the queue. Any new cities that we get benefit our financial projections that are presented to Fitch. Can I answer any questions? That was a lot.
Just have a question for you, Lori. This is Kyle with Midvale. Is there an amount of time we can wait before issuing these bonds if the markets just get too volatile? I know you and the bond team are doing what you can to mitigate those impacts, but I know we're looking at issuing bonds too, and the market, it seems to be changing every single day.
Yes, especially now that we have the funding for Santa Clara and Cedar Hills, or we'll have it in a few weeks when we close. A lot of the cash that is going out from UIA is for either Pleasant Grove, Syracuse, and soon to be Cedar Hills or Santa Clara. So we will be able to cover our capital costs with those bonds. I think we're probably in the same boat as Midvale, Kyle. It's like, it's not great out there, but there's a lot of sentiment that it might just get worse. So I believe right now our goal is to try to issue these bonds within the next couple of weeks. We should know more after we meet with our investors.
No,
But
sounds good.
we do have cash reserves that could carry us for a bit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the timing of this one isn't that important to us. We could delay if we needed to, but again, as we get closer to pricing, we'll gauge the market, see if it makes sense. But the city-specific ones, we have deadlines of when we want to get those things built, and don't want to jeopardize timing on those projects. So those are a little bit more urgent to get sold.
Okay, thank you, Lori. Are there any questions from the board regarding Lori's presentation? Okay, thank you. Let's go on to the next item, which is an update regarding the UIA network by Roger.
All right. So some exciting things going on at Utopia. Obviously, we keep growing and expanding. You see from the revenue charts, obviously those are coming from new customers coming onto the system. We're at about 46,000 and something customers total across all of our networks and the Idaho Falls partnership. So we kind of count all of those together. We expect to continue to grow that. There's no reason to see that slow down. In fact, we'll probably see a pretty significant bump as we'll see some of the areas in Syracuse and Pleasant Grove. We've got a lot of, those are decent sized cities that will be getting areas completed very, very soon over the next few months. So that's really exciting. We have a really enormous milestone of finishing the original Utopia cities, all of them, that'll be happening within the next couple of months. And so the last remaining areas of Orem, Murray, and West Valley City are being wrapped up. We only have, I think, one footprint left in each of those cities. And I think we were a little bit behind schedule in Orem, but I think we just get the permits we needed to get wrapped up there. So the construction will be going on there. So sometime in the next 2 or 3 months, we're thinking we may have some sort of an event of, hooray, the original 11 cities that pledged and backed the Utopia and UIA projects are done. Now, they're never always truly done. As we issue these new debts, people are like, why are you still doing bonds then? Well, your cities are all moving targets, or at least most of the cities are moving targets. You keep building more homes. We've never seen this level of new development before in our history, and that costs money to build new network to new homes as they're built. Fortunately, they cost a little less to do them while they're built, and we get higher take rates when we get them when the people move into homes. And so these new bonds will probably be the most profitable bonds we've ever done from a cost and build and revenue perspective. But it's all good news. But it still makes sense for us to finance those. So that's what that bonding is for primarily, as well as some investment in our backbone. Part of our investment in our backbone is we're in process of bringing up a 400 gigabit core, meaning lots of 400 gigabit links between our core sites. The first version of Utopia, the biggest connection in our network was 10 gig in our core. And so we've made a lot of progress in expanding and advancing the network, making sure it's top-notch, modern, future-proof. We have capability to do many times that. I mean, that's the beauty of fiber, is it's very, very future-proof. So a lot of things going on in parallel there with upgrading the network, expanding the reach of the network, adding new partnerships. We don't have a new city partnership on the agenda today, but we are, in process with several cities and surveys, feasibilities, and negotiating those agreements. Unfortunately, we do have to kind of change the terms a little bit with the increased cost of financing. Again, we've made mention it was good timing for Santa Clara and Cedar Hills to get things approved and moving, because we won't be able to go to future cities with as favorable of terms. It doesn't mean it won't work. Some cities may have to subsidize the project. Some of them may need grants. Some of them may just need a higher level of commitment on what kind of take rates we may need out of those projects. But we're getting kind of double hit on the sense that materials and labor and cost to build these networks has gone up. In addition to that, the cost to finance these projects has gone up. And so that is making things a little bit more difficult. Fortunately, we got a significant amount of network built out when financing costs were at record lows. And so overall, things are very good. But those are some of the variables we deal with forecasting the future. I wish we had a crystal ball to know what the markets were going to do, but we don't. And so we just kind of continue forward and looking at the opportunities that are out there. And there's a lot of other things coming down the pipe too with federal money and grants. There's a likelihood that we may do some pivoting towards taking advantage of funds that are available through those programs. They're mostly focused on rural areas that we, by themselves, we probably wouldn't be interested in. But if we come in with a 50-50 match, or even as much as like an 80% subsidy from some of these programs, some of these may go from something we wouldn't care about to something that could be very profitable for us. So we do expect some opportunities in that form. On the other partnerships, there are operational partnerships that we've entered into, and these live on the Utopia side. Again, UIA finances projects and builds them and kind of does a whole turnkey. But we have entered into some operating partnerships with Idaho Falls and Bozeman, now Yellowstone Fiber. And we do have, as you notice, the revenue at Utopia, those revenue lines have been growing, which has been surprising to some as a result of those partnerships. And we do have on the agenda kind of a very early stage non-committal level partnership under a similar structure with the rural county representatives of California, which is an area that represents 38 counties, the more rural counties, but still about 5 million population, of investigating and negotiating a potential operating partnership with them. This is on the Utopia side agenda today to discuss, but those are opportunities we see for growth, where on those ones we're not even on the hook for any sort of cost or risk there. It's really just an opportunity for us to provide resources into other projects and grow revenues, which ultimately helps economy of scale of all these projects, helps us pay off expenses, and has proven it on the Idaho Falls partnership. That one, we're making pretty good revenues from that system with very little additional cost, because we we've been able to absorb that work with our current staffing.
So, Roger.
At some point, big enough that we have to staff a little to those, but they still are overall very good for us. Yes.
So sorry, I'm a little new to this. So quick question. So that's where you're just operating someone's existing system. Utopia UIA is not going in and doing a build out. You're taking over infrastructure.
We're overseeing the build out. So it's not our money. You know, we're not bonding for those projects. So Idaho Falls Fiber, they're paying for that project with other, I think they're using their energy revenues. And they build it and they own it, but we have provided design services so if you were to look at our network, it's basically a copy of what we do here in Utah. And then we do provide various services, and we have kind of almost a a la carte menu approach with them, where they say, well, we'd like you to do our network operations center. So we're monitoring and configuring the devices of that network from here. Customer service, you can call their number. Someone in our customer service would answer the phone in behalf of Idaho Falls. We provide, I don't know what other services, several other things for them. On the technology side primarily is where a lot of the work is. And we receive a portion of the revenues, so revenue share on those systems. But they get the ownership and the branding of that system. We get revenues for the portions of and services we provide. It helps expand the open access model out to additional communities. Our service providers get more territory to expand to, and you know, ultimately it furthers the cause of open access, but also not at our expense. It's only at our financial benefit that we do those, and it's working out pretty well. As we're able to duplicate that model, it really could become a very significant ability for us to pay off bonds, potentially lower the cost of services, and do other things.
Thank you.
So similarly, Yellowstone Fiber, that's one where you know, it's their website. You go in there and you can pick from service providers and all of that. It's in the early stages of construction right now. We just broke ground on that a couple weeks ago. And, you know, I say we, well, it's them, but it's our direction, it's our designs, and we're helping kind of with the facilitating that project, even in the design and engineering and construction of it. We don't have any employees up there, but it's kind of a contracted services agreement with them for us to facilitate, help them where we can. But the boots on the ground and that sort of stuff is all either them or contracted. And then we provide kind of that guidance and assistance and support of the project over time and are entitled to revenue share. I've sent out the updated graphs, so I won't pull those up, but everyone on this call should have, as of a few days ago or late last week, I think I sent out the new subscriber reports. If you haven't received those, let me know, and I'll make sure you get on our list. But that shows, you know, subscriber growth across all of our cities. It's all good. You know, even cities that are very high take rates, we continue to see more and more customers coming on. So we're not really seeing any new competitive pressures, any technology reasons why we don't expect this to continue to be successful in the long run. And we continue to upgrade and advance the network to make sure that we remain competitive. Any questions for me on the network update? One other thing I want to bring up is we have had some of these groups like RCRC come and tour the network, and I think, you know, I think probably most of our board members have not actually seen our network, you know, at least some of the facilities. We were thinking of potentially scheduling sometimes if anyone was interested on a tour, including both our facility here and maybe some of our huts and kind of a technology demonstration of things rather than just what you see on the people getting connected in their homes. I don't know if there's interest in that. I think there might be, but I don't know if just is there a show of hands of those that might want to participate in some sort of a tour? especially those that are newer to the board may want to see that, but even if you're old to the board, we'd be happy to have you. So we'll send out some possible dates, and maybe we can even do those regionally so you don't have to travel. There's the stuff that we build in Orem is similar to the stuff we build in Tremont, and so we could probably do some hut tours and kind of show what the network looks like from inside our huts and other facilities. So, all right, we'll work on scheduling some of that. Anything else for me?
Okay, thank you, Roger. Board members, are there any additional questions or concerns on a different topic than those that have been discussed that you'd like to raise?
Mr. Chair, I just want to congratulate Jason. I didn't do that the first time, but congratulations, Jason. That's awesome. We'll miss you in local government, but still get to see you, so this is great.
Yeah. Thank you, Brad. Mr. Waite and Mr. Jacobson, from our friends and partners from Santa Clara, do you have any questions or comments?
No, all my questions were answered. We're super excited.
Okay. Well, very good. Thank you for taking the time to join with us today. You're always welcome. And we're always eager to hear your comments and feedback as well. Well, thank you again for your time. This has been a good meeting, productive and thorough, and we're in a good shape. So thank you to the staff, and thanks to each one of you as members of the board that continue to give your support and encouragement and your strength to the realization of this vision. We started a long time ago, and it's now bearing fruit. And as I said, our communities, our citizens are being blessed because of it. So it's a privilege, as always, to be involved with people of integrity and character and commitment. And those qualities seem to be lacking in a lot of organizations in the world, institutions, but we're favored, at least I believe, to be part of one that actually believes in those things and conducts itself according to those principles. So anyway, thanks to each one of you. Wish you the best in as you're navigating your own environments. You're in our thoughts, and just wish you the best. And so thank you again for your time today and for your good efforts all around. And we'll look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. So be safe in your travels, and again, all the best. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. You beat Brand. Good. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, nay. Okay, very good. Have a great day.
You too.